So for step 20, attaching the rear axles. Well, we're going to grab the axles that we built in the last step, and we have these brackets that now need to be attached to the metal bits that we did in, I believe, step 1 on either side. And then we also have a shaft that has to be attached with these screws here, and you can see that that bracket is going over there, but it's being attached with these 2 screws on either side that will then clamp this all together. So you can see there is the bar, there are the screws that we need, and these are the 2 brackets, and they actually have a left and right, so that says R, this has an L on it, so you know the difference. So I'll set it up and we'll put these axles on. So let's work on this side first. And I think what we'll do, I'm just going to move a few things out of the way here. You can see that this is the one that we need to work on here. So let's, knowing how that's going to fit, we definitely need to grease the dog bone up now, because this is the side that's going to fit into the gearbox itself and go into the joint. So let's take this, make sure that this is going to fit properly. We know that that is going to fit inside of the gearbox joint, just like that. This is going to fit on that bar. Now, before I do that, I'm going to try and hold everything together here. They want you to grease that up too, which makes sense because it's all got to fit on there. So we're going to take that. That's going to fit over top, just like that. So everything is now in place, and you can see that's going to end up going up and down. There's our axle. We're going to grab this piece here, which is the BC28, which is the left side. You can see that how this is going to be placed. So I'm going to take this, that is going to sit over top onto that and fit underneath. And you can see that that is sitting over top of everything. You see the movement of that. And the screws are coming in at the top. So, knowing that, I'm just going to use my other finger to hold that on. You can see that they are the BC4, so these are the little screws. So we're going to put one there. Grab our screwdriver. And I'm screwing it down enough, but not all the way, so I can get this other one in there. Which, by the looks of it, I'm going to do it this way and hope that screw will hold on. Yes. Okay, so again, I use my other hand to kind of keep that together. You can see the 2 screws. Now we can screw these all the way in. Okay, so they are all the way down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this around here and I'll tighten it up. Now these are metal threaded screws going into metal. So I'm going to tighten this up, but don't totally over tighten, but just know that, get it to a point where you know that it's nicely on. It shouldn't strip because the metal isn't going to move. The plastic would definitely strip out, but I'm just going back and forth, making sure that they're actually attached, which they are. So that's fine. So there we go. There is our driver's side axle in place and attached to the gearbox. Very, very cool. See how that is. Okay, so let's do the same thing with the other side. I'm going to grab our axle here. Same thing, I need to pull this back because we're going to need to grease up the dog bone. And since that's up and down, I'm just going to turn this. Hopefully, there we go, up and down. And you can see that this is going to need to go into there. And the rubber boot will then go over top. Come on. There we go. That'll fit over top. And again, this is going to go over. Maybe I can move that out of the way for a second. That's got to go over that metal bar from step 1 that we did. Just going to make sure that that actually is in place. Yes. Okay. And again, we're going to take our metal bracket here. Actually, I'm going to turn this around because this, I think, has come out of the shaft. There, I think. Yeah, there. Okay, that's correct. And we're going to take that bracket. Again, remember the way that's going to sit. The metal is sitting underneath and going over the bracket itself. And the screws are coming in from the top. And they're the little BC4 screws. So, with this one, I might just turn that around. This might be the easier way to do it at this point. And screw that into place. And again, we'll take the other BC4 screw, and I think we'll put that onto the screwdriver first so I can get it into the hole. There we go. And now screw that in. Okay, so now that they're in, I'm going to screw these both down. And again, screw them so that they're nice and tight. You don't have to over tighten them, but because it's going into metal, you'll just know that it's at the end. And they're okay. So there are our rear axles in place. And they're a little notchy, but that's normal because it's very similar to how the Blockhead Motors one came together. And once the shocks are in place, that should disappear. Very cool. So that part's done. So what do we have left? We now have this metal bar is the only thing that we've got left, which goes across the back. So again, this is like a brace. So this is going to attach, and you'll notice that there's holes on the bottom, or at least in one spot. The way they're showing this, you don't see any holes, so I'm just going to have those facing down. So if I stick this into here, we'll get that into the center there. I'll start screwing this in. And you see that's how that's moved to the top. I'm just going to move it down to the bottom because we don't need to see it. And again, screw that in there. Voila. Which adds a little bit more rigidity to that back end. So that's nicely on. So there we go. There is our Fast Attack gearbox attached with our axles in place. Very cool. So that means that step 20 is complete. So we're going to move on to step 21 now and attach the pinion gear to the motor.